So we're looking good, making sure the flashing's laying flat. I've made all of my cuts at a 45-degree angle down to each of the bends in this side connection flashing. I'm going to have Bo hold this one over tight. And then I'm going to bend this piece here around to meet up, just like so. Now here we have to be careful that we make sure we seal this up as best as possible. So we're going to take I'm getting ahead of myself. We're going to work from the bottom up just like we shingle. So we'll bend this tab down first, then this tab, and then the last tab. And we do it in that order so that any water that is on top ends up down and out. So while Bo's hanging on to that, I'm going to go ahead and make a few marks. Back 1 inch approximately. And then we'll snip that out of the way. Oops. And mind where your scrap goes. So laying this all back together, we can make sure everything is nice and tight. Put your fingers. Make sure we're folded down. And I'm going to take and pull this out and shape it a little bit right here. As you can see, we're wearing gloves. I always wear gloves with metal, folks. Sharp points are like razors. And fit this back together. So of all of our details, this here is the in my opinion, the least clean looking, but there's no way around getting this detail done any, any cleaner. So again, before we place this in place, we'd put a heavy bead of butyl rubber sealant in this corner and lay our flashing in place. And at this point, we're looking very good. Now, we never want to fashion our base flash back to the chimney because we want our roof to flex and move. So all of these side pieces and the base piece were screwed to the roof deck. This piece should be fastened to the roof deck as well, but in this case, we don't want to put a screw through because it'll get in the way of our metal. So we're just going to lay it in here, and when we install our metal, our screws going through our metal will actually fasten this down in place. So at this point, everything is done. We're ready to seal the deal and put our upper piece of roofing on. So we have here our upper metal. This could be however long it needs to be to reach the chimney. And it lays right over the top of the flashing that was here before. Now, a couple notes. First off, you never want to run it all the way down tight because in doing so, we create a dam where we can trap debris, which will back up water. So we want to hold this up a few inches away from the chimney so any water and debris that gets in here can come out. The other thing to note is the fact that this flashing is white and our roofing is a burgundy color. In most cases, the flashing and the roofing would be color matched, so you wouldn't see this stripe here and over here. So just bear that in mind that normally you would not see a stripe. In this case, we see a stripe because we have two colors. But holding this all down tight, everything looks real good, so we're going to start right here and work our way across, screwing this metal off. Now when we screw, we do not want to put a fastener right here, okay? Water is going to back up in the wintertime and come back up. So we want to keep our fasteners as far back as possible. So looking back, our flashing comes back to here, so our fastener should be back here. So please avoid the temptation to put screws down near the bottom of this upper sheet or you're just going to penetrate your waterproof flashing. So fastener should stay up here. This piece here, which I almost forgot, is very critical. That's called an inside gasket, and it will keep water from blowing up underneath these ribs and doing what I just described. So to install this piece, it's going to lay just like this. And actually that's not going to, you're going to be over ribbed, so you don't need this at all. We're going to tear this clean off. Thinking on the fly. So we've torn off the ends of each side of this gasket so it's going to fit in just like this. And in order to get it located properly, the glue is on the bottom side, so we're going to kind of eyeball the location and then lay it in place. So go ahead and hold on to this gasket here. And we're going to do this with both of us. So go ahead and stick it up underneath these ribs. And I'm centered. Are you looking okay? So now our gasket is in place, nice and tight. And now we're ready to go ahead and screw this off. So with a metal exposed fastener panel like this, a metal roof, we're always going to screw on the overlap side. So here would be considered an overlap. So his first screw we're going to hold up like we said, and he's going to sink it probably up in this neighborhood right here. And we're proponents of screwing in the flat because you do get a better seal and more strength in your roof. So working across, next screw is just to the right of the rib. And one note here, when we're working with metal, if you're doing exposed fasteners, a way to make fastening easier is you can take a scratch awl and give one sharp hit, and that makes starting your screw a little bit easier. Now here at the overlap, since we're up on the rib, it's a little bit difficult to get this to fit tight, so we're going to go ahead and put a screw right through the rib. And again, to make that screw go in easier, we're going to go ahead and pre-punch. There you go. So this completes our base flash. On our previous video, we made the cap flashing. So we're going to go ahead and quickly install this cap flashing to show the finished product.